The time is 6:15. Here is the news edited by Dilini Gunawardana, read by Victor Raj. Here are the headlines of the local news. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardana says corruption should be minimized to achieve development. The no-confidence motion against Speaker Mahinda Abebewardena is taken into debate. Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena says that he has never misused his ministerial powers in issuing route permits. Sapugaskanda refinery is to operate as a separate public enterprise. India grants $61.5 million for the development of Kankasanture port. Foreign news. UN is alarmed by reports of civilian casualties in Myanmar air attacks. Sports news. Cricket. Australia pulls out of Afghanistan T20 series due to continued Taliban restrictions on women and girls. Local news in detail. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena says that corruption should be minimized to achieve development. He mentioned this at the function of the declaring open the first phase of the 4-storied building of the Udagama-based hospital and the 3-storied building of Nyagama Regional Hospital yesterday. This new 4-storied building has been constructed at the cost of 400 million rupees in Udagama-based hospital by the project to empower primary health care systems under the provisions of the Southern Provincial Council and World Bank assistance. The building consists of the Accident and Emergency Unit, Forensic Medicine Unit, 3 theatres and 2 wards to provide health care services to the patients. Over 90 million rupees has been spent on the first phase of the 3-storied building of the Nyagama Regional Hospital. The first phase of the building includes the outpatient department, clinics and emergency treatment units. The Minister of Health has granted 20 million rupees for the construction of the second phase. The no-confidence motion against Speaker Mahinda Abebewardena was taken into debate today. Joining the debate, Minister Vijaydas Rajapaksa says that this motion has been taken at the House in an irresponsible manner since it contains misinformation. MP Professor G.L. Peri said that the Speaker has continuously acted in a partial manner. Consequently, the fundamental rights of the public have been violated. Both State Minister Pramita Bandara Tennakon and MP S.B. Dissanayake pointed out that the Speaker has always taken the necessary decisions fearlessly. Meanwhile, parliamentarians Dayasiri Jayasekara, Nalin Bandara, Hesha Vithanage and Shanakya Rasamanickam have decided to step down from the Committee on Public Enterprises. MP Dayasiri Jayasekara said that the current chairperson of the committee is unacceptable. The government says it has decided to operate the Sapugaskanda oil refinery as a state-owned business entity disjoined from the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation. The proposal tabled by Minister Kanchana Vijayasekara was green-lighted by the Cabinet of Ministers at its meeting convened yesterday. In a statement, the government said it has identified the need to make a critical investment to upgrade the oil refinery in order to keep it up and running for another 25 years. Thereby, it has been decided that the Sapugaskanda oil refinery be operated as a separate public enterprise and to call expressions of interest to select a suitable strategic investment partner to upgrade the infrastructure facilities to address the existing operational challenges. Minister Vijayasekara, in a post on his X handle, said the government is also exploring the option of relocating the Sapugaskanda oil refinery to Trincomalee in the future with upgraded modern facilities and the development of the tank farm. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing with more local news, The Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, Santosh Jha, says the Indian government has agreed to provide a grant of $61.5 million to fully develop the port of Kankasantore. This was revealed during a recent meeting between Minister Nimal Siripala de Silva and the Indian High Commissioner at the Ministry Office. As part of the project, a new breakwater will be constructed and the port will be dredged up to a depth of 30 meters to accommodate deep draft vessels. During the discussion, the High Commissioner expressed India's commitment to enhance regional cooperation between the two nations and pledged the fullest assistance to attract more Indian tourists to Sri Lanka. He also stated that the Indian government has designated Sri Lanka as the top travel destination for Indian tourists. In response, the minister conveyed gratitude on behalf of the Sri Lankan government and his ministry for the support provided by the Indian government in the fields of aviation and shipping. He stressed that the grant will be utilized for the swift implementation of development projects at the Kankasantore port. The Cabinet of Ministers granted approval to import eggs until the 30th of April 2024 in order to maintain the prices of eggs in the local market. The Department of Government Information said that 18 million eggs have been imported thus far, and authorities have calculated that the requirement for the festive season would be an additional 42 million eggs. It added that the Department of Animal Production and Health had already called for quotations from the recommended Indian companies to import eggs to the country. That ends local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardene says that he has never issued route permits misusing his ministerial powers. No new route license will be issued in the future unless it is essential. Plans are underway to prepare a formal timetable system for operating buses in order to provide everyone with fair opportunities. The minister further added that the prospective e-motoring policy has been submitted to the cabinet. That ends main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
Watch Live is brought to you by
CIB New Year offer. Valuable gifts and gift vouchers. 25% discount for bank cards till 10th of April. Visit CIB today. CIB revives once always.
Health officials say a significant number of children are experiencing respiratory problems due to high levels of dust particles in the environment. Consultant pediatrician at Lady Ridgeway Hospital, Dr. Deepal Pereira, advised that the elderly and pregnant women should also exercise caution. He emphasized that it is essential to replenish both sodium and water levels in body. Otherwise, it may result in dehydration, loss of appetite, nausea, body pains, and other symptoms that hinder productivity. That came to you on Watchlight.
CIB New Year offer. Valuable gifts and gift vouchers. 25% discount for bank cards till 10th of April. Visit CIB today. CIB revives once always.
Coming up, World News.
Headlines first. The UN is alarmed by reports of civilian casualties in Myanmar air attacks. U.S. reports death of senior Hamas military leader Marwan Issa. Singapore opposition leader is charged with lying to parliament. World News in detail. White House official Jack Sullivan has said Hamas leader Marwan Issa died in an Israeli air strike. Israeli media sources have reported that Mr. Issa was killed in a strike on a tunnel complex under a refugee camp in central Gaza last week. The deputy commander of Hamas military wings was considered one of Israel's most wanted men. The European Union, which pleaded the Hamas leader on its terrorist blacklist, linked him directly to the 7th October attack led by the group, which killed approximately 1,200 people. The Palestinian group has not officially commented on reports in this regard. The United Nations chief has expressed alarm at reports that the Myanmar military is bombing civilian areas. Antonio Guterres called for calm yesterday, following reports that continued air attacks on villages in the rest of the country's Rakhine state have killed dozens. Clashes have rocked the western state since the Arakan army attacked the security forces in November, ending a ceasefire that had already held since the military's 2021 coup. The UN Chief's deputy spokesperson Farhan Haq said Guterres is alarmed by reports of ongoing airstrikes by the military. Singapore's opposition leader Pritam Singh has been charged with lying under oath to a parliament committee. The charges relate to Mr. Singh's handling of former lawmaker from his party who died in parliament in a separate case. Who lied in parliament in a separate case. Prospectors say they intended to ask for fines for Mr. Singh, who could also possibly lose his seat in parliament. Mr. Singh was rejected the accusations. To wrap up the world news, let's take a look at the headlines once again. UN is alarmed by reports of civilian casualties in Myanmar attacks. The US reports the death of senior Hamas military leader Marwan Issa. Singapore opposition leader is charged with lying to parliament. That ends world news.
Development news.
The finance minister said that Japan has given Sri Lanka a grant of 600 million yen for oil spill management, healthcare and vocational training. Japan will give 4 vessels for oil boom with the necessary accessories, a generator and a cargo truck with a crane for improving oil spill resources, response and management by the Sri Lanka Coast Guard. The grant agreement was signed by Secretary to the Ministry of Finance Mahinda Sirivardhana and Ambassador of Japan in Sri Lanka Mitsukoshi Hideki. That came to you on Development News.
Moving on with sports news.
Australia have withdrawn from their men's T20 series against Afghanistan in August because of continued restrictions on women and girls in the country under the ruling Taliban. The 3-match series was scheduled to take place in the United Arab Emirates. Cricket Australia said government advice is that conditions for women and girls are getting worse. It is the 3rd time Australia has declined to play Afghanistan since the Taliban returned to power in 2021. A one-off test match in September 2021 and a 3-match men's one-day series in March 2023 were also cancelled. Australia will continue to play Afghanistan in tournaments, having beaten them by 3 wickets at the T20 Cricket World Cup last November. That ends Sports News.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු ගීන හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all new NSB Ithru Mithru account. NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The RAK Sri Lanka Trade Fair and Exhibition, jointly organized by the Chamber of Tourism and Industry UAE, will be held from the 17th to the 20th of April 2024 at the RAK Exhibition Centre, UAE. All major export sectors will participate in this. Further information regarding stall reservations can be obtained on www.rak/symbol srilankatradefair.com. That ends Business News.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු ගීන හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all new new NSB Ithru Mithru account. NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Moving on to economic news. The government says it has decided to operate the Sapuga Skanda oil refinery as a public enterprise disjoined from the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation. The proposal, tabled by Minister of Power and Energy Kanchana Wijesekara, was green-lighted by the Cabinet of Ministers at the meeting convened on Monday. That ends economic news.
Weather report.
Showers or thundershowers may occur at a few places in the western and sub-Ragamar provinces and in the Gaul and Mathur districts in the evening or night. Mainly dry weather will prevail elsewhere of the island. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in the sub-Ragamar and central provinces and in the Gaul and Kaluthara districts during the morning. That ends the weather report. To wrap up the evening news on Radio Sri Lanka, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena says corruption should be minimized to achieve development. The no-confidence motion against Speaker Mahinda Yapabewardena is taken into debate. Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena says that he has never misused his ministerial powers in issuing route permits. Sapuga Skanda refinery is to operate as a separate public enterprise. India grants $61.5 million for the development of Kankasanthare port. Foreign news, UN is alarmed by reports of civilian casualties in Myanmar air attacks. Sports news, cricket. Australia pulls out of Afghanistan T20 series due to continued Taliban restrictions on women and girls. With that, we wrap up the evening news on Radio Sri Lanka. Back to my good friend and viewers, Chandima Veerakorn.
Thank you very much, Victor. That was Victor Raj bringing you the evening bulletin of news. 32 minutes down, 6 is the time. You are tuned to Radio Sri Lanka.